Hey Nick, I'm so sorry about these videos. I've been recording them over and over again, but I have a Mac that's been on the fritz. In fact, I had to take it into the shop today, and so I'm hoping this will work. But just a moment ago, my computer was again acting freaky. So those people who tell you that Macs are wonderful and PCs are terrible, don't believe it. My Mac has been crappy right out of the box. I noticed in your video that you talked about the hate speech against Islamic people. And I have seen a few videos that I must admit really put the invective, if that's a correct word, on Islam. And I think that they have a lot of good arguments, but I think they shoot themselves in the foot by sounding so intense in their delivery. But I think you're being unfair as well, and this is what I wanted to say, is that I'm going to use something from your own video. You said that you know lots of educated Islamic people and they don't hate Jews. Well, as an atheist, I would just like to let you know that those of us who are non-Muslims don't hate Muslims and any more than Muslims hate Jews. And I think for you to take the anti-Islamic statements on YouTube and see them as ignorant or cast them as being mean-spirited or hateful, I think is really unfair. Now, I've been criticizing religion in general, Christianity and Islam, on the YouTube and in my life because of what I do for a living as a psychologist. And I see the kind of damage that religion does to people and the kind of damage that was done to me and a large number of other people that I know. And I see the kinds of damage that religion can have in society. Not to mention the fact that there are some logical and ethical reasons having to do with the kinds of things that religion teaches, and the fact that most religions are based on nothing. In fact, most of them I think are pretty silly. Now, if someone is critical of Islam, they say that Islam is silly, or they say that Islam teaches violence, you should respond by countering those statements rather than saying that they're hateful. Because there are things in the Old Testament, there are things in the Bhagavad Gita, there are things in Buddhist holy writings, there are things in Confucianist holy writings, there are things in the New Testament, and there are especially things in the Sunnah and in the Quran, and especially in the biographies of Muhammad, that are horribly violent. It's just there. And to call us all hateful because we point these things out, I think is kind of hateful in your way, because it's almost like you're saying we're bad people or we wouldn't be making these statements, or we're uneducated, we wouldn't be making these statements. Now, this gets to the point of ridiculousness. I own a Quran. I'm a religious scholar. I've literally read from the Sunnah. I've read from the Quran off my lap. I've actually shown the Quran on the screen. And I've had people then write me something saying, you don't understand the real Islam. You're taking things out of context. Well, phrases like oppression is worse than slaughter are hard to put in a context that makes them very reasonable. Anybody can claim they're being oppressed, and anybody can go around slaughtering people. You would think that a living God that was supposedly giving information to a prophet, which already bothers me, because why doesn't God just speak to all of us directly? It would seem to, since God can be everywhere and at any time and can talk to all of us, seems very inefficient to talk to one guy, especially since that guy, if God doesn't say anything outside what that guy says, that guy could lie, or he could write something down and it could be misunderstood, or he could say something like Muhammad did and it wouldn't be written down for maybe decades later. And then, when it came to put the Sunnah together, as you know, there were thousands and thousands and thousands of sunnahs, and when, or not sunnahs, but individual pieces of it, and almost 70 to 80% of them were thrown out because they were thought to be fictitious. Well, the question that comes to all of our lives is this: if the Quran can only be understood in a context, and the Sunnah is really the context, and the biographies are the context, And the majority of the Sunnah and the biographies were thrown out because they were faked. And it was done by one guy. I can't remember the guy's name. It was done under, I think, the Fourth Caliphate. Maybe even under Ali. But the question then is, what if he made a mistake? What if some of the good ones got thrown out? And what if some of the bad ones got left in? That would completely change the context and completely change the meaning of the Quran. Again, things such as kill the unbelievers wherever you may find them, smite their necks, never make a friend of a Jew or a Christian, do not listen to a Christian and what he says religiously because he will want you to change your religion. These sorts of statements are troublesome. Even if the only thing that were in the Quran that was troublesome was the statement, oppression is worse than slaughter, which God, you would think any living God would realize how a statement like that is so unclear, is so vague, and would be likely to be misused by people. In fact, if you wanted to put a phrase out there that could be misused, almost like you were this perverse God and you wanted to fuck with people's minds and you wanted to throw something out there you knew you would be misused, you couldn't come up with a better phrase, I don't think, if you tried. So the next time that you start to feel angry or pissed off when you hear people criticizing your religion, you might want to pull back for a moment and realize that we're just responding to the facts that we see, that we've read the Quran, we've read the Sunnah, and if you want us to understand those things differently, if you want to put a spin on them that you think we don't see, then you need to respond, you need to speak up, but you can't remain silent or remain off in the dark. I don't know why you're in the dark. I'm assuming it was an accident, but you can't remain in the dark, figuratively anyway, and then bitch and moan and groan and complain about all the hatred of Islamic people. People don't fear Islamic people or have trouble with Islamic people because of phobia or because of hatred. They do it for very logical and rational reasons. If you're not willing to answer those truly legitimate and valid, logical, and rational issues, then you leave us to believe the worst. And I would bet that if you were to respond to this video, I would learn something. Out of all the books I've read about Islam, I would bet I would learn something new because of something you've read that I've never seen, because you have a perspective on it that I don't have because you're a Muslim. That's if you have the courage to respond. But telling people on the internet who are Muslim not to respond is, I don't think, is not the answer, and I don't think that was your intention. But what we get on the internet are two different kinds of responses from Muslims. One is, okay, here's the truth, I don't want to talk to you, here it is, here's the video, believe it or not, if you don't want to believe it, you're going to hell, and if you want to believe it, you could become a Muslim just like us, but no, don't want to have a conversation with you, bye. And the other response is, you are evil, you are Islamophobic, you're going to die. And I mean, I've even had people threaten my life. One man actually said, I think you're gay, and I need to know if you're a Muslim, because if you're not a Muslim, then I don't have to kill you. But if you're a Muslim and you're gay, and you admit that you're gay and you're Muslim, then I got to find you and kill you. I actually had someone write this. Actually, I removed it, but they actually wrote that where other people could read it. I mean, how bizarre is that? So you have to understand that when we read stuff like that, what kind of conclusions are we going to come to? And you can't call us hateful because we negatively respond to something like that. I've never had any Christians or Scientologists or any other religion react to me that way, and I treat them all. I mean, I'm an equal opportunity debunker. This is Skeptic Sage reminding everybody that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And Nick, I know you may not believe me, but peace, brother.